don't be surprised to see it again. And I hear that more and more among people. They're like, I'm concerned that Obama's going to pull something, an October surprise. You hear that more and more, even among the neocons, even among the more traditional Republicans who don't believe in the 9/11 conspiracy. They still think that Obama's capable of doing this. And I think it's kind of good that that's out there. The whole meme of the false flag is out there. It helps to stop it from happening.
Well said. Speaking of an awakening, what do you make of this county judge out in Lubbock saying we know there's a global government takeover and we're getting the police ready to resist it? I would only say to him, yeah, but you're talking about UN tanks. It'll be our military under the global government saying that's the authority. That's what's scary. The first wave is going to be our own military.
Well, I think it's really good to see judges like that, and just like the judge in Virginia who stood up and said this is ridiculous and set Brandon free. I think it's a really great indicator that there's still some who take their oath seriously, and it's good to see them waking up to this possibility. So I think we need to have a dialogue about this, about, well, wait a minute, what would it be like? It wouldn't be, like you said, initially a bunch of blue helmets. It'd be a bunch of brainwashed military officers giving their men orders. So the big question is will their men comply? And I think the military officers, the perfume princesses, as hackers used to call them, I think a lot of them are going to be very sadly surprised when their NCOs and their gunnery sergeants tell them to go pound sand.
Well, they've been preparing for this war forever. I confirmed 15 years ago, then again 10 years ago, then again 3 years ago. I've confirmed this dozens of times with guests on the radio over and over again, Stuart, that they've been training in Austin and San Antonio, but I mean, that's usually because I've been so big in Texas, but now I've seen all over the country, and people can call into you and tell you about this, that going back forever, they've been training the ROTC at college, they're preparing to be the officers, for people that haven't been in the military who don't understand that out there, to fight the militia and veterans, and they're training explorer scouts. The New York Times said how great it is to, quote, take on disgruntled veterans. So the entire architecture has shifted domestically towards this Night of the Long Knives culling of veterans and military that don't submit. Kind of a reverse Operation Valkyrie against people that would resist them. Because the globalists know where the threat's going to be. They understand that. They're not worried about people watching TV and sucking their thumbs, or tough guys and all this stuff that, love the New World Order. They're worried about people that understand there's been a takeover. And so think about how long-term that's been, and watching those ROTC officers in colleges to see who would do this. They've been drilling their whole lives. They've been drilling for a decade, for 15 years, their whole adult lives, to take us on. I mean, that is an evidence of the total conspiracy against America and the Republic, this internal infiltration takeover. We're not just saying this is a foreign infiltration by banks. This is. I mean, this is an enemy takeover. I mean, it's incredible. What's your take on that?
Well, they're telling you exactly. Benson, in his article, is just icing on the cake. Now it's just much more overt, but they're telling you exactly who is going to be their future enemy. And in many ways, they're correct, because who else is going to resist them? It's going to be the veterans. It's going to be the patriots. It's going to be the awakened, especially the awakened veteran is who they're worried about, and for good reason. Because, as I said from the very beginning, we are a threat to their plans. We're just not a threat to the American people. I think their propaganda war against us among the population is not going to work. And I also think that even if they brainwash all of these, perfume princess officers, that's not going to help them either. Because you can ask any Vietnam veteran what happens to an officer who betrays his men. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But these officers need to wake up and smell the coffee, that their NCOs, their gunnery sergeants, those are the real backbone of the U.S. military. Those are the combat leaders for the troops. And the most, there are some good officers, but for the ones who have sold themselves down the river and sold themselves out to the devil, like Colonel Benson there, they don't know what they're messing with, because the troops are not going to follow their orders. There's going to be a serious dissension in the ranks, and they can give all the orders they want to, but let's see them enforce them.
Well, I learned, again, 15 years ago when my first film came out, America Destroyed by Design, that Marines, is where it first started, were handing them out at bases, and then they would get in trouble and have to run for it or get extra duty. But then everybody wanted to see what was banned. And so when they say don't go to oathkeepers.org, as you know they do in the military, or don't go to INFOWARS.com, that has the opposite effect. They tune in, they hear common sense. I mean, it's incredible how much the military listens just to my show alone.
Yeah, it is, and that's why I think it's going to backfire on them. We were originally going to go and do base tours where we would have speeches, but we decided against that. And the reason is we don't want to have a gathering where we invite them to go to the gathering and then all the license plates get taken down. We don't want to do that. So what we're going to do instead is put billboards outside the base and then have guys, volunteers standing outside the base handing out free DVDs and flash drives and written materials so that they can't purge people. They're not going to have a good list of who went to the meeting. So we're going to be very careful about that.
Well, I think if you present it right with just the truth straight up on the table, hey, two sides, here it is. If you just lay it out, because people always kind of, I mean, I like the fact you just lay it out. A lot of people kind of, oh, let me tell you, no. It's like, boom, we're in the right. Look at the facts. You choose a side right now. We're not playing games. Exactly. We don't have time. I think your earlier idea might have been good, or do both. I say, hey, step across the line like Colonel Travis. You're being told you're going to fight the Tea Party, that the foreign government and NATO orders our military around now, and it's your First Amendment right to come hear a speech. And I think you'd have so many come to it, especially if they try to stop them, that people would freak out when half the base showed up. Okay, purge half of them. I mean, our numbers are so great, it's time to start showing them.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we've heard from inside of the NSA. One of our guys is retired Special Forces. He's got a buddy inside the NSA who contacted him and said that they're concerned about what they call the Oath Keeper effect. And what he said is that they can't quantify it. They don't know how big it is. And so they can't game it. That's one of the things that's kind of giving them fits. And so we just don't want to help them. We don't want to help them be able to game it. We don't want to
You don't want to give them intelligence.
Right. We don't want to help them identify, because it's kind of like an iceberg. There's that visible tip, but then there's that big mass underneath that's not quantifiable. And so there are a lot of guys who are smart enough, especially in special warfare, who have contacted us and said, look, I agree with what you guys are doing, but you won't find me on your website. I don't need to go there. I'll take care of business within my own unit. And they're just staying off the web, so they can't be tracked and they can't be purged, because a purge does happen. That's the first thing Stalin did, first thing Hitler did. You mentioned Night of the Long Knives. That's what that was. That was a purge. That was him getting rid of the guys who were, a lot of the SSA didn't like what he was doing, because they were kind of fooled into supporting him initially, what they thought were good ends, and then he started doing stuff they didn't like, like arresting other Germans, and that's why he had to purge them. So we're really careful about that. That's why I'm leaning towards just putting out the information, giving it to everybody who goes to the gate, and if they order them not to accept it, then that's only going to backfire. Then guys are going to want to go to the Oath Keepers to see what's going on.
All right, Stuart Rhodes. Look forward to your speech, seeing that online there at PaulFest, oathkeepers.org. Amazing interview. It is a victory, though, that so quickly it made national news, that from the grassroots forcing it out there, that Brandon Robb had been grabbed. And the fact that, the judge ruled against him. Again, we have to force all those battles. And people tend to think as the fight keeps going that, oh, we're being worn out. No, we're getting stronger. We need, like you said, welcome it. Use all of their evil against them. Don't oh, they're going to come get me. Step into history. Realize there is no future if we don't beat these people. That's the liberating thing, is to realize, folks, these are the nastiest, sickest, control freak, anti-family, scum, devilish people you can imagine. People say, oh, we have courage to stand up against them. It's not courage. It's a default position when a bunch of foreign banks want to gut your country, to stand up against them. I mean, I don't understand people that are afraid to stand up against this. This is history happening right now.
Yep. Yeah. Embrace the suck. Step up. And, we're all going to die anyway. Just might as well live like men. Stand up. All
right, Stuart Rhodes, thank you so much for the time, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
All right. God bless, Alex.
All right, there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, that was a powerful interview, and that's it for me. We had McBreen on earlier doing the news. We're going to go to break and come back with a report. Jakari's coming in here, right? Oh, McBreen's got another interview coming up. All right, who's he interviewing? Oh, he's interviewing the family friend of Brandon Robb, the lady that put the video up. Okay, well, that's going to be good, and I want to thank Jakari for that earlier report, and Dan Badani and everybody else, and Stuart Rhodes, and I'll see you, Lord willing, if they haven't killed me or anything, this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central on INFOWARS Radio, the Sunday edition of that, and we'll be back Monday also, 11 a.m. Central with the radio, and back 7 o'clock as well. And tonight, I will be on Coast to Coast AM for 2 hours. So look forward to that, coasttocoastam.com, covering all of this and more. All right, we'll be right back.
Sit rep as
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state!
And then I woke up here.
Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about 1.5 years ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of longevity products. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with INFOWARS I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals, but the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to